Oh, this is chaotic and hectic. So I just got my blood work done about last week, and I'm talking to Ellie's doctor about the same stuff that she did, and he just called with the results, and I'm grabbing the camera just in case there's anything worth noting. And my camera battery died, my microphone battery died, so nothing sounds good. I'm running in barely any pants on, and I've got my tripod setting it up, and we're gonna film this. Okay, here we go.
Really good ones, but
I know, sometimes it's like a wrench is thrown in. Yeah, we've had that for sure, but she's been really great. But Jared's here now. I know I told him she's been perfect.
If all of our babies would have been this good, maybe we would have had like 10.
that's awesome.
Knock on wood, I say that now. So, my blood work's all in and...
Yep, blood work's all in. Let me break it all down for you. All right, I just sent it to you. I just texted it to you.
Perfect.
Ironically, if you look at your sodium and fluoride, see those being really high?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at your sodium, normal is 134 to 144. Yours is 148, which is high. And then normal is 96 to 106. Yours is high at 110, which is like really high. Usually that can be due to a variety of reasons. So what's your stress like, Jared? Like historically, lately, what is your stress like?
I'm a pretty easygoing guy. I don't feel like I stress too much. I stress a little bit when Ellie stresses, so I guess that means a lot, but like, I don't feel like my stress has been like, wow, I'm really stressed and I'm overwhelmed, yeah.
Okay.
You have a family
there's a variety of things. So the adrenal glands, which are your stress glands, you have a hormone called aldosterone, and sometimes whether you're stressed or not doesn't really matter. So sometimes when that's off, that causes problems. It can almost put you in a significant dehydrated state, even though you're drinking water, too. What's your water intake like?
Oh, it can always be better.
Okay. Basically, the way that your body buffers water, whether it excretes water or takes in water, that mechanism isn't functioning as well as it should. So a lot of things that we can do with that, we'll definitely want to work on that. Another thing, too, is if you look down, it's not outside the laboratory range, but if you look at what's called LDH.
Yeah.
So that one, anytime that's above 180, it just means that we have too much inflammation occurring. And yours is at 197. Nothing to stress out, but definitely a problem that we'd want to address. Another thing, too, is typically anytime a liver enzyme is above 20, we start to worry that the liver's not buffering it well. And normal, if you look at AST and ALT enzyme, one's 26 and one's 22. So again, it's not outside the laboratory range where we freak out, but again, it's something like, hey, like there's some stuff and mechanisms to work on. So that's one area that we want to address on top of that.
Okay.
And then, ironically, your total cholesterol is 226. Have you had this high of cholesterol before?
I remember a few years ago, I went just to my family doctor and had some blood work done, and my cholesterol was a little high. And he put me on some medication for it, and I think I did one bottle, and that was it.
But tell me about your family history.
It's probably good. It's your body needs it. So you have high cholesterol.
Yeah, and that runs in my family.
Yeah, and I'm not really worried about it because actually the mechanisms driving high cholesterol is actually the liver too. So your total cholesterol is 226. Your bad cholesterol, normal 0 to 99, is 165. Now there's a ton of stuff that we can do with this, and usually this can be more of a blood sugar issue than it is actually cholesterol on top of that too. So we'll kind of touch on that. But then on top of that, your liver is kind of the main mechanism that will regulate cholesterol. So when it can't regulate cholesterol well, then that's when we start having issues there. Again, I don't like see it and freak out. Obviously, it's quite a bit higher than most, but there's still lots of stuff that we can do. And it'd be fun to have you work really hard for 60, 90 days, retest this, and see how much better these levels actually look, right?
Yeah, I'd like that.
Part of this whole process with managing blood sugars, when we start to see fasting triglycerides above 100, that's our first indication of insulin resistance. From this, your testosterone will actually convert into estrogen, and that causes a little bit of inflammation and more insulin resistance, and then that causes your testes not to be able to produce testosterone as effectively as you should.
Is that why I've been crying so much?
Exactly.
Ellie just flipped me off.
Have you really been more emotional?
No.
I would say you're more of an emotional person.
I
but not.
definitely, I get it from my dad. Yeah, yeah.
That's so funny. Yes, that is why you have breasts and you've been crying.
I have been feeling supple.
The next item is homocysteine. So when homocysteine is above 7, we worry about what's called the methylation problem. Most lab ranges, LabCorp's for some reason is really high, but most lab ranges top out at 10. They're 0 to 10. So if we would have tested you at like Quest or another lab, you'd be high outside the laboratory range here. Your homocysteine's at 10.1, which suggests you have what's called the methylation problem of the liver. So in your liver, homocysteine has to convert into a few things. If it can't convert, then you end up having higher inflammation. And having too high of inflammation can perpetuate you down the road. A lot of research indicates high homocysteine with an increased risk of Alzheimer's and other issues like that. So if you just simply improve the homocysteine, then you're going to significantly decrease your risk of Alzheimer's. But at the same time, your liver isn't methylating properly. And so just that in of itself can create a ton of issues and problems as well. So just fixing this one mechanism, which for me, and even like for Ellie, anytime we see signs of liver dysfunction, that's usually the first thing you want to correct the fastest, just because your liver does over 300 different things.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, we can kind of go through one imbalance after another and correct each one. So the good news is we have lots of stuff to work on. The bad news is we have lots of stuff to work on.
Right, exactly. For sure. Yeah, and I'm actually glad in a way I'm glad that there's more imbalances than we thought, just so it's something Ellie and I can really focus on doing together rather than just, being along for the ride. We're both working on something.
I mean, it's really hard to hear him when he goes, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, he's repeated that a few times.
He has said that multiple times to me, and I'm just like, but I also want a good quality of life.
Yeah. I think it's worth going through the hurdles to make sure that the pathway's smooth.
It is hard enough to be sick every day. If I can just retrain my whole mindset and body and get healthy, it won't be hard. It's going to be harder to be sick every day than it is to change.
Yeah.
It's just going to be hard for this short amount of time to shift.
I mean, you've had a really rough couple of days. I would not want you to go through that once a month, twice. I don't want you to go through that. Mm-hmm. It's been rough for you, and I want you to feel better.
I've been very sad.
And if I can feel better at the same time, then that's a double plus. Yeah. We gotta come up with a rhyme. 2023, better year for me.
Yeah, put that on a shirt.
You can find them at ellieandjared.com/t-shirts. That doesn't exist.
I think it's really important that we do this.
Yeah.
It's gonna help our kids too.
The patterns we create, they will follow and adapt to and make part of their life, so they'll just have a better starting point.
I mean, I ate fish yesterday for the first time in probably a year.
Outside of tuna fish, right?
Yeah, with a ton of mayo on it. I mean, and they ate it. Calvin ate it. Tommy ate it. It's fine. Mm-hmm.
I'm anxious to know what the doctor says today about diets and what we can do. I have an idea, basically cut out all the fun, enjoyable stuff and have all of the stuff that you would normally be thinking about that's part of a good, healthy diet, with a few exceptions here and there.
I think that we will definitely take turns. Like the other day, I thought, I can't do this. This is so hard. Nursing and feeding and kids' breakfast, and I do dinners, and it's hard. And the other day, I thought, well, maybe we'll take turns. You do 2 desserts a week, and I'll do 2. Not sugary desserts, but you research and find a healthy option.
Something that tastes good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it's last night, I had a fruit bowl and peanut butter balls. That was just nice to have something at the end of the night.
Way better than ding-dongs and ho-hos.
Yeah.
So we go in today for this appointment with the doctor to go over the blood work a little more and to go over dietary stuff and supplements. And that will be a big change.
Yep. So we'll take you with us.
Let's go.
Stay tuned.